YouTube frogs, with Eula prep video out, it's time to also cover the other cryo rerun for 2.3, Albedo. Well, I guess Geo for now, until Genshin reveals where evil cryo Albedo came from. In this video, I'll be covering some general preparation tips and frequently asked questions for Albedo to help jumpstart your investment a week before his banner drops. The structure will be very similar to our previous quote everything to prepare for X character videos. Those of you who already own Albedo but are looking to potentially grab an early constellation or two, I'll discuss how beneficial those are. This will be a precursor to a complete guide for Albedo that will be a complete breakdown of his kit. I haven't made an Albedo guide in the past, so this will be a first for my channel. This one will be short and concise. We'll leave the nitty-gritty to the big one on his release. And as a small reminder, I stream every day on Twitch if you want to check me out and vibe with the Twitch frogs. Link in the description. Let's begin. First off, a quick section on his material preparation. Unlike for Eula, we knew he was being rerun, so material prep should come as no surprise. For level 80 and level 90, you'll need 26 to 46 Geo Hypostasis boss materials, 108 to 168 Cecilia flowers, around 30 of each Samatral scroll, 300 to 420k Mora. For his talent materials, about 20 more of each Samatral scroll, Mondstadt Ballad talent books, and then Tusks from Tartag Weekly for level 7 and higher. So cost-efficient investment can actually stop earlier than 80 out of 80, at 60 out of 70 strictly for his Ascension 4 passive. However, base defense does go up quite significantly per level threshold, so 80 out of 80 is totally fine in my opinion. If you really like him, go for 90 out of 90. He gets really tanky at max level. Ascension stat for Geo damage is icing on top of the cake as well. So for his talents priority, Elemental skill first, and then Elemental burst, and then normal attack you leave at level 1. He's a very autopilot off-field DPS character who plops his Elemental skill on the field and swaps out while his Isotoma remains to deal transient blossom damage with scales off of his defense. Burst is also especially nice if you want to take advantage of the 125 Elemental Mastery boost that he gives to the team post-burst. And unless you want to go physical Albedo, his normal attack doesn't really matter and can stay level 1. Elemental skill is the only talent I consider worth going above level 6. You can see mine is level 11 with 3 levels from Constellation 3. Burst is also fine to level beyond 6 as well, with more reasoning if you run him Constellation 2. Alright, so for weapons, as you may or may not know, one of his strongest defense build paths optimizes around a 3-star weapon, the Harbinger of Dawn. This is an extremely cost-efficient and effective weapon for Albedo's Isotoma off-field DPS-based build. This is basically like a free crit rate circlet with a 40% plus crit damage on its substat. The passive is also really easy to maintain for him since he slaps his elemental skill and then leaves the field, giving basically no time for him to actually take damage. Base attack is not too important. This only matters for his burst, which is less than a third of his practical damage output. And with using this weapon, it's more effective to go a defense circlet for a defense Geo defense build, which I'll mention again in the artifact section, but I'll leave the breakdown to the complete guide. Just understand that this build with this weapon balances his defense and crit damage really well. You can see my stats with this weapon on, and a defense Geo defense build looks like this. Okay, so for 4-star suitable weapons, any elemental skill or crit-based weapon is fine for him here, though none of them do compare to the Harbinger of Dawn. 4-star Festering Desire. This is the second best option, a free refinable event weapon available during the first significant Dragonspine event, along with the first release of Albedo. Provides a massive 32% elemental skill damage at R5, along with a skill crit rate increase of 12%. Unfortunately though, those who did not play during 1.2 will not have access to this weapon. We'll see what the event sword coming in 2.3 will look like, and if it'll be meaningful for Albedo. The energy recharge is extra icing on the cake if you want to spam your burst for the Ascension 4 passive. Other 4-star options that work that provide crit. Black Sword for the crit rate, Black Cliff Longsword for the crit damage, and extra Favonius Sword if you want extra team utility over his personal damage. 4 5-star weapons, Jade Cutter and Mist Splitter are the best options for their massive crit rate and crit damage increases, if for some reason you aren't using these on your main DPS. Summon Shaper gets an honorable mention because I guess it's supposed to be signature for a Geo sword user, which we only have one of, and yeah. It's just a strict attack percent stat stick, which affects his burst damage and the initial Isotoma slapdown damage, but not any of his transient blossom damage. And that should cover weapons. Most of you Albedo gamers will be running Harbinger of Dawn or Festering Desire until something spicier comes out in the future for him. Okay, so for Albedo's artifacts, they are unique for a sub-DPS. As a defense-based off-field DPS, since we currently don't have any defense-based swords, they must come from his artifacts. Until the new artifact sets come out, which I may make a separate video for, there's 2 different artifact option build paths that work for him. A full support-based build surrounding 4 Tenacity, which I currently don't show, because I don't have a build for it. The 2-piece 20% HP doesn't really matter, it's all about the 4-piece. Albedo's uptime for 4-piece tenacity is 100%. His Isotoma procs damage every 2 seconds. It lasts on the field for 30 seconds. The party members will constantly be getting the 20% attack and 30% shield strength buff. And the other build path is the standard 2 Petra, 2 Noblesse sub DPS build. Most important of this build is the 15% Geo bonus damage from the Petra set. The Noblesse set is extra, but the best the remaining 5-star artifact sets we currently have. Coming in 2.3 though, the 2-piece Noblesse set here can be replaced by the 2-piece Husk set for 30% defense. And mentioning 2.3, with the Husk 4-piece coming out, this will also be another full artifact option for Albedo. It'll take 12 seconds for Albedo to gain full stats from it off-field, but once he does, he'll be gaining 24% defense and 24% geo damage bonus on top of the 2-piece 30% defense for 54% defense and 24% geo damage bonus. If we can get to that stage, it'll definitely be one of his strongest artifact sets. So all of these builds that I mentioned are effective. It depends on what dungeon you want to farm for resin efficiency, because we know that the Husk set is going to be with that healing bonus new set, so that might not be resin efficient. 4-piece tenacity is farmed alongside Pale Flame, which if you run physical DPS like Eula for example, then it'll work out well. And honorable mention to 2-piece Defender's Will, the 4-star artifact set providing 30% defense. As an early mid-game option, this is totally fine. This is basically a now inferior version to the Husk set. So main stat pieces for Albedo are unique amongst all characters so far. If planning to run the Harbinger of Dawn weapon, plan to run a defense geo defense build like I mentioned. If you're not running Harbinger of Dawn and you're running Festering Desire or any other crit based weapon, a standard defense geo crit build works. However, running defense geo crit, please be aware that your defense stat may be much lower than what you'd expect. Alright, quick crash course about Constellations. So Albedo's front-loaded ones are quite meaningful, so those returning to grab a couple, I'll give a quick breakdown. Constellation 1. Translation: 1.2 flat energy every 2 seconds for Albedo even if off-field, while his Isotoma is dealing off-field Transient Blossom damage. This is great for burst uptime, but not that meaningful without C2, which we're getting to now. Constellation 2, his Isotoma Transient Blossoms, which are the defense-based procs up to every 2 seconds, stack up to 4 times, each increasing his burst damage by 30% Albedo's defense. Combined with Constellation 1 and his burst being a 40 energy cost on a 12-second cooldown, C2 enables him to scale his burst with his defense with minimal effort. It takes 8 seconds to charge to max stacks, and you can easily see how many stacks he has even when off-field. Constellation 3, plus 3 levels to elemental skill. Straightforward and great that it's early given how much of his kit damage is elemental skill based. Constellation 4, while his skill is active, party member plunge damage increased by 30%. This constellation is for Xiao currently and any future plunge-based characters. Constellation 5, standard plus 3 levels to burst damage. And Constellation 6, 17% damage increase to crystallize shielded party members within his skill field. This one's fine, I guess. You'll just have to be aware of the crystallized shards on the ground and actually use them. Alright, so for team building, Albedo is aiming to provide solid sub DPS along with either double Geo Resonance or assisting react teams with his Ascension 4 125 Elemental Mastery. This makes his combination with Zhongli excellent. This pair of Zhongli and Albedo can fit on any team composition slot that has 2 open pairs. So Hu Tao Xingqiu is probably one of the easiest to fit in, providing Geo Resonance, 125 EM for Hu Tao Vaporizes, and shielding instead of healing to maintain Hu Tao's below 50% HP bonuses. Xiao plus Anemo Battery or Bennett is also stable. Xiao loves Zhongli's shield for that sweet Anemo resistance shred that is not available through any other means, Albedo providing double Geo and sub DPS, and Bennett for more attack transfer or Anemo Battery to refund his burst. There are other plentiful options: Eula plus Electro Superconduct, Official DPS plus Cryo Superconduct, Klee, Yoimiya or Diluc here, plus a Hydro Enabler, Raiden or Keqing plus Mona for Electro Charged, and any other dual DPS options. Otherwise, Albedo by himself can fit wherever a sub DPS is needed to provide minor crystallized shields, solid sub DPS, and 125 Elemental Mastery. In standalone team comps where he doesn't have a double Geo Resonance, his value is definitely maximized where teams can take advantage of his 125 Elemental Mastery post-burst boost. I'll leave the more detailed explanations on team compositions for the complete guide. For now, I think you guys generally understand that Albedo may not be the most optimal for high DPS rotations, but he's definitely really comfortable for lazy, safe playstyles. And those are my most general preparation tips around Albedo. We covered Ascension stuff, weapons, artifacts, constellations, and team building. A great precursor to my complete guide. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. It's free and really supports the video and my channel. I regularly post a mixture of guides and personable content to the channel, so if you like what you see here, feel free to check out the other content. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.